Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. How you all are doing? Um, for those who may not know me, I'm Dr. Dwayne Buckingham. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist, and I've been doing therapy over 25 years now. So I wanted to come on live. I don't do this often, but as you all can see, I'm actually wearing a black shirt. And I'm wearing a black shirt to really express how I'm feeling today. And I think, like many of you, I'm actually mourning and trying to process the death of another black man, Tyre Nichols, right? So I've received questions over the last couple of days asking me about what's happening in our community and how are people processing and what is happening, how are we feeling, how are we showing up. So I just wanted to get on here because I believe as a black man and as a black man who's been in mental health for over 25 years, I wanted to share my thoughts. But more importantly, I want to express how I'm feeling because my thoughts are different than how I'm feeling. And like many of you who basically watched the video of black men basically taking the life of another black man, many of us are feeling some kind of way. But we're not just feeling some kind of way because of what happened, but because of what continuously happens to black men in America. So today, like many of you, I want to talk about emotions. And the emotions that I'm feeling today is anger. So we often talk about anger, and people say, why are black people angry? Why are black men angry? Well, anger is the emotion that is on the front. But what I want you all to think about is that when you see someone who's angry, don't just focus in on the anger, but realize beneath the anger, there's other emotions. And those other emotions are sadness. The other emotions is a sense of hopelessness. The other emotions beneath the anger is fear, is anxiety. So my anger may be what you see, but just know that there's other emotions that have to be processed that is occurring as well. So when you see an angry person, take time and ask yourself, how would I feel if I was in that person's shoes? Is year after year, decade after decade, month after month, hour after hour, I'm consciously worried about and anxious about whether or not I am going to live, or whether or not I get to grow old, or whether or not my son, DJ, will grow old. Whether it's at the hands of a white person, black person, Hispanic person, just imagine waking up every day worried about whether or not your life is valuable, worried about whether or not you will make it to the next day, to the next week, to the next month, to the next year. So when you see anger, show a little bit empathy and try to understand what's happening beneath the anger. So I actually also want to talk about, I got a couple of questions. Individuals ask me, like, how do you feel and what do you think? And I want to clearly make sure that when people are asking these questions, we are distinctively processing differently what we feel and what we think. See, most of us are okay talking about what we think. But as men, specifically as black men, we're not often comfortable talking about how we feel. And so, as you know, individuals who are struggling, please just don't ask them about what they're thinking. Ask them about how they feel. We have to get in the habit of identifying and processing emotions. Behind every behavior, there is an emotion. And I like to also remind you, just because you ignore your pain does not mean it's going to go away. I'm going to repeat that. Just because you ignore your pain, you suppress your pain, does not mean that it's going to go away. So we have to learn how to create safe spaces for our black men, our black boys, and even for our women. I don't want to exclude our black women or any person, but we definitely have to create safe spaces for men to process emotions. There's a lot going on in society. And I just wanted to step on here just to kind of like share again my thoughts about anger, sadness, hopelessness, irritability. Now, these emotions, we also can trigger depression. I'm going to repeat that. So again, we're talking about anger, we're talking about frustration, but Depression, you may be actually interfacing with men on a daily basis who are depressed, have a sense of irritability. They can't concentrate. They can't focus. They're eating too much. They're eating too little. They're losing pleasure in activities that previously brought them pleasure. They have mood swings. They're irritable. These are signs of depression. And I also want you to be aware of other mood things that are going on and anxiety disorders like post-traumatic stress disorder. I talk to a lot of Black men who basically are extremely anxious. And many meet criteria for PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. What is post-traumatic stress disorder? Post-traumatic stress disorder in its simplistic form is that you've experienced something that's very traumatizing. And although the event has ended, you are still experiencing nightmares, flashbacks, thoughts of the actual traumatic event. And with all the trauma that happens in America, when I watch that video, you have to be careful of what you allow in your eyes to see because it can dwell in your heart. Watching a man actually literally be beat to where he would eventually leave his life, you have to be careful of what you allow in your soul. It penetrates you. It sticks with you. It resonates in your heart, in your mind. So please be careful, because any human being who can inflict that kind of pain on someone else is troubled. So some people ask me, Dr. Buckingham, what do you think is the problem? Why is it possible that Black men can inflict pain on other Black men? It's called internalized oppression. Internalized oppression is the concept where you actually take the very means that have been used against you and you use it to the people who are close to you. It's reflecting a self-hate, a self-dislike. Now, I don't know those cops personally, but what I can tell you is that if anybody can inflict pain on another human being, they are troubled. There is a saying that hurt people hurt people. We're watching and witnessing live on social media people hurting people. People are getting hurt and we are witnessing it. And I would just encourage you again to be mindful of your mindset and your mental health. This stuff is not healthy and it's not safe for us. So, Dr. Buckingham, what can we do to heal? How can we heal? First thing that you can do to begin to heal is to acknowledge the hurt. You have to acknowledge that you're hurting. You have to acknowledge that this pain is there. Again, you cannot run from pain. It dwells within inside of your soul and your heart. The second thing that I'm going to tell you to do is stop displacing your pain on individuals who's not the true target of your pain. Get some help. In psychology, we call it displacement. You're mad at the boss and you come home and you kick the dog. You're mad at society, but you're treating your wife, your girlfriend, your sister, your brother as if they are the perpetrators. We have to learn how to process this emotion in a healthy kind of way. And we cannot do it by suppressing it. We cannot do it by displacing it on targets that is not the source of your pain. So that leads me to my third thing, is to get help. Now, Dr. Buckingham, we've been talking about this and we've been talking about this. What kind of help are you talking about? Are you talking about spiritual help? Because as a Black community, we often go to the church. And the kind of help that I'm referring to is theology and psychology. There is nothing wrong with going to the pastors and the ministers and the deacons and praying. But what I can tell you that theology and psychology is different. And if you want to be healthy, I believe you have to combine both. Theology, your faith, your reverence, your belief, that is important for our spiritual well-being. But psychology has to do with your psychological disposition and your emotions. So if you want to heal, you have to do both. I'm a praying man, and I believe that God can heal. But I also believe that God created psychologists and mental health professionals because the flesh sometimes can be a lot to deal with. So I just wanted to get on here and pour out my heart. I hope that I'm saying something that is helpful to somebody, because we're angry. But don't just focus in on anger. Look beyond and beneath the anger. Look for sadness. Look for irritability. Look for hopelessness. Look for the other emotions that are brewing and need to be processed. I want you all to just be mindful that, again, journaling and writing things down is also another way to get it outside. We have to find releases. I am like really struggling. I do public speaking a lot, and I may sound like I'm rambling because emotionally, I am really struggling. I'm really struggling emotionally. And I do this for a living. I've talked to thousands and thousands of people. And if I'm struggling, I can only imagine how many of you all are struggling with your emotions. Dr. Dwayne Buckingham is my name. Please, if I can help and be of any service, do not hesitate to reach out to me. You can find me at www.drbuckingham.com. That's www.drbuckingham.com. I just want to come on here and encourage you to process your emotions. Tyre Nichols is another Black man, George Floyd, and we can go on and on and on. And I guess there is a saying that when people, again, are hurt, they hurt other people. So if you are hurting, take care of yourself. Try to heal, because you can't hide from what's in your heart. You cannot hide from what's in your soul. Thank you all for joining me, and please spread this word. Tell individuals to get help. Tell individuals to begin the process, especially if you got Black men. Don't tell them that it's okay not to process. It is okay not to be okay. That is the message for this whole video. It's okay not to be okay. It is not okay not to get help. Racism is real. Pain is real. Take care of your mental health. A man is what he thinks. But I want you to remember, and I'll close on this, behind every behavior, there is an emotion. I want you all to think about that. Behind every behavior, there is an emotion. So it's impossible for you to understand the behavior if you cannot identify the emotion that is contributing to the behavior. Let's process our emotions. You all have a blessed night. You all pray for each other, pray for Tyre, and more importantly, get help. All right, you all, I'm going to end it on that. Thanks for those who tuned in, and please spread the word. Your mental health is your wealth. All right, have a good night. Be blessed.